The judicial system has gotten much better in dealing with sexual predators.
Oh, yeah. Let's impeach him.
If you're telling me of intent to harm this person, I must warn you of my duty to alert law enforcement.
I don't know why I'd tell you anything.
I'm interested in why you feel punishing this man falls upon you.
Well, it sure doesn't fall upon you.
What do you mean?
What would you do? You'd call the cops. Who'd get some judge? Who'd give him psychiatric counseling? So maybe he could talk about his unhappy childhood. And we could have sympathy for the fuck. Because he's the real victim here, right? Know what you do? You stick your head in the sand. Because that's what people like you do.
Discredit psychology all you want. But I continue to ask the question. Why do you think you, Anthony Soprano, always has to set things right?
Okay. Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Hawadash, saying double honors to our apostles and elders, here at Great Millstone, peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So I wanted to play this because, as a precedent, because I thought about it, I watched the show, Sopranos is a good show, and the part of the show is you see the character of Tony Soprano, his development, and early on, this is part of his development. Something happens where it was his daughter's friend. They play soccer. Come to find out, because they're high schoolers, come to find out one of the kids is in relationships with the coach. And they're all a community, so everybody knows the coach. So eventually the coach is like, I can't be with you and all this other stuff. So the girl starts to, hurt herself. And that's when the daughter found out, like, oh, they've been messing around. So it got to Tony, and it got to his amigos, and his attitude was, I can't believe it. I'm going to have to do something to this person. And his attitude was, this person's going to, he's going to, we're going to off him. Okay, we're going to take this matters into our own hands. And they killed his dog or something like that to send a message, because they were real worked up. And part of this episode was him battling the urge to do what he would normally do, and instead just hand it over to the authorities. And in the end, that's exactly what he did. But it was tough for him. But that's the whole point of the show. You see his development, and this happens to all of us. You could say probably throughout all our lives, right? There's times where we think that we can we can bear everyone's burden, but you can't. So just like what his therapist told him here, she said, Tony, why do you think you are always the one that has to set things right? Basically, let the authorities take care of it, or let the proper people take care of it. So why am I playing it? It's because with this with what the Lord is about to bring, the judgment to this place, right? If you have this attitude of, I have to aid and I have to help these people who are in need. These people need me. These people need my help. And you believe in that prioritizes, you could say, your duties in the scriptures, right? You got to put I can't worry about the truth right now, right? Because I have to, right now I'm busy. These people need my help. These people not assistance. Well, I got news for you. When the Lord brings more judgment to this place, okay, you're going to have your hands full, because the Lord has evil designed to be brought to this place and the people. And what you going to do? You're going to house your whole neighborhood? If you are in this truth, okay, then you should understand that in the end, it's the Lord's will is his judgment. Right? That's why the scripture here says in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 16, says, be not over righteous much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? So there is a thing of being over righteous. That is a thing. Just like trying to be over wise. That's why the scripture says, as thou found honey, eat so much as thou wilt, lest thou vomit. Meaning you got to take it in slow. There is a such thing as trying to be overwise, and there's a such thing as trying to be over righteous. Just like you could say Tony there, what basically his companions was telling him, even his wife was telling them, yeah, it sucks, but just let the authorities know. Why do you believe that you the one that have to take it upon yourself to enact justice on what happens? You know, that's you doing too much, because there is a such thing as, you know, doing too much, you know. This is the book of Luke, chapter 9, verse 57. It says enacting discipleship. That's the heading there. And in Matthew's, it says discipleship's tested. Verse 57, it says, and it came to pass as they went in the way, a certain man said unto him, Lord, I will follow thee wheresoever thou goest. And Yahushua said unto him, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man have not where to lay his head. And he said unto another, follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. And Yahushua said unto him, let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of Yahweh. Even like the NLT would say. But Yahushua said unto him, let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach about the kingdom of Yahweh. Let's keep going. And another said, also, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go and bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. But Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh. So why did Yahushua throw those messages out there? Because if you were always saying, well, wait a minute, Lord, let me first go do this. I must needs go first take care of this issue. Then I'll go follow you. The Lord had to let it be known. If you concerned about that, then you're not fit for the kingdom, in the sense of, because there's always gonna be something that you're gonna have to that's something that's gonna happen, or that you're gonna have to quote unquote take care of. You have to prioritize what's important first. That's why he said be more concerned about the truth. Let the dead bury their dead. Because there's always going to be some type of death in the family, or you could say, if you're going to keep stopping what you're doing to go and handle that. Well, first, let me go say bye. Let me go, brother, just go and teach. Okay, because if you're so concerned about looking back, well, first I have to go say this. First I have to go do this, you know. Then you're going to always find yourself putting the truth last. And that's not what you're supposed to do, because the Lord is about to bring much evil to this place. So it's going to be a lot of people that's going to be in need or in aid. And for the record, you know, Yahushua, he's the Superman. The Lord don't need nobody else trying to play Superman. No other Israelite trying to do that. The Lord is the one that does that. You know, he's the one that brings the evil. And if you take it upon yourself to help, that's fine. But if your attitude is, well, the will of the Lord must first wait. I must first assist. I must first help these people. Well, I got news for you. You're gonna have your work cut out for you real soon, because when the Lord brings the judgment, there's gonna be a whole bunch of people that's gonna be in need. You know, just like this therapist told Tony, she said, why do you feel the need that you have to always be the one to set things right? You know, you know, in the society you live in, there's people who work a job for that specific job. You know, you have the linemen in the natural disaster sense. You have your EMTs. You know, you have these people who play these emergency roles, but at the end of the day, they still have to clock out. Okay, because there's always going to be a phone call. Somebody's always going to be in emergent care, emergent need. You can't work around the clock. You still got to do your shift, and at the end, leave it off to other people. And it is, you can't save the world. But the reason why that's concerning And the reason why the Lord really wants you to check that, because of the evil times that's coming. When the prophecy starts to really shake this earth and people start to panic, what do you think these people are going to do? What do you think your family and your friends are going to do? They're going to reach out to you. Help. Struggling. And what you going to do? You going to try to meet everyone's need? You going to try to bear everybody's burden? No. You going to have to just let that be. Do what you can for whom you think is worthy. But pretty soon, you about to have a whole fleet of people at your doorstep or on your phone looking for assistance because of the evil times that's coming. What, you gonna try to play Superman? So the times that we're coming in, you got to be aware. As Ephesians 5 verse 15 says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is." We know what the will of the Lord is: to bring destruction upon this place and to bring judgment to what? 2/3, and to tank this economy, to bring evils upon this place. We know what it is. So the evil times are coming, which means there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be in wailing, a lot of people that's going to need help and aid, and that's your family, that's your friends, that's your neighbors. If you know that the will of the Lord is bring evil times, are you going to try to take it upon yourself that when the evil times come to try to go and patch things up, rebuild? That's for the people in the world, because the people in the world don't understand what the will of the Lord is. We do. So we understand that it's only going to get worse. And be honest with you, the most challenging part is for brothers to accept that. But Carter coming in is truth, man. The most challenging, you could say, task that most men have to face, one is accepting that you are not in control, right? And you have to at times just surrender to the will of the Lord and say, it's on to the Lord. I can't keep worrying about this. I can't try to concern this. I can't try to make this happen the way I want it to happen. I can't. I just got to focus on the truth, and whatever the Lord's will is his will. You know what I'm saying? You can't try to force everything to make things happen your way. So when the evil times are coming, which is what we're coming into, the Lord is going to bring evil to all the world, and that includes our family, friends, etc. And when things get rough, people looking for help, people looking for assistance, that's when people going to want to be in your circle. That's when they're going to call you, ask you for help. What you going to try? You going to extend your neck out to try to save each and every soul? And one of the challenges that brothers accepting is gathering the strength to possibly reject those in that day and say, look, I can't help you. It is what it is. Because them cries and them and the requests, as men, naturally, if somebody reaches out and want help, you feel the need. If I can do something, I want to do it. But guess what? In the evil times that's coming, right? What, you gonna try to do that for every person? No, you got to understand, look, this is the will of the Lord, and whatever he does is what he does. As if you go to Luke 4, verse 23 says, "And he said unto them, Ye will surely say unto me this proverb, Physician, heal thyself. Whatsoever we have heard done in Capernaum, do also here in thy country. And he said, Verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. But I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elijah, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout all the land. But unto none of them was Elijah sent, save unto Sarepta, a city of Sidon, unto a woman that was a widow. And many lepers were in Israel in the time of Elisha the prophet, and none of them was cleansed, saving Naaman the Syrian. And all they in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath. Why were they filled with wrath? Because what did Yahushua say? During that famine of 3.5 years, there was every widow was someone who's in need. But the Lord only sent Elijah to one of the house for what? Salvation. Did Elijah go, but wait a minute, Lord, the widows. There's a lot of people in this time that need help. The Lord gonna say, yeah, I know. I'm the one that brought the famine. I'm shutting up the skies. You don't think I know? Like, just like, well, wait a minute, Lord, there's other lepers too. That I know. But I want this brother to get the salvation. Because at the end of the day, the Lord knows what he's bringing. So if he brings the evil, he knows who's going to get caught up in it. He knows who's going to get caught up in it. Would you going to take it upon yourself to help every single soul? You know? And for the most part, you got to realize that if something happens, right, the city or your state has people, they hire people to handle those certain issues. You know, you can't take it upon yourself to say, oh, I gotta, there's somebody out there that needs help, so I must go help. You know? Bro, all you need to be concerned about with is whom the Lord blessed you to be concerned about with, such as you, your household, starting with yourself, this truth. But when the Lord brings its evil to the place, like an earthquake or something, right? What, you gonna go and try to dig everybody up under the rubble? You know, it's evil. You just go with the flow. You say, well, look, you know, you help whom you seem like you can help. However, but just in general, when the Lord brings the evil times, do you really think you're gonna have time to try to save all of these people? Yahweh Shai is the Superman. He's the only one that the nation needs. Yes, this people are going to be unfortunate or misfortunate. It's the judgment of Yahweh Shai, and he's ramping things up. So you don't want to take it upon yourself to try to be over righteous, because the Lord knows the judgment that he's sending out, and you're going to put that before the truth. Because if you did that, then you know what that means. You'll never have time for the truth, because somebody always is going to need help. Somebody's always going to need some type of assistance in somewhere. Like, you know that phrase, Martha, Martha, that Yahweh Shai was saying, because he was giving trying to relay a message. As Luke 10:38 says, now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Yahweh Shai's feet and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, doest thou not care that my sister have left me to serve alone? Bid her, therefore, that she help me. And Yahweh Shai answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. But one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. So what did he say? He said, you're concerned about too much. But he said, Mary is doing right. She's seizing the opportunity. You know, Mary understands that there's always going to be care. There's always going to be something around the house that needs to be done. This is a prime opportunity right here. We got the Son of Man here. I'm going to listen to what he has to say. I ain't worried about that stuff in the background, because it's always going to be there. It's always going to be something that's going to be there. So you got to know about the opportunity, and you also have to know about what the will of the Lord is. Okay. It was, what's the wording? Yes, okay. So it's Matthew 26, verse 6. Now when Yahushua was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when the disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yahushua understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she have poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman hath done be told for a memorial of her. So she saved that precious ointment for Yahushua. And they was like, you know what you could have dealt with that? And the Lord's like, what? You like, leave her alone. What you worried about what she doing for? She did a good thing. Because she understand, like, this is very good ointment. This should go to the son, because they understood that he was, going to have to be, the prophecy was that he's going to have to die and be risen again. So she sees that opportunity to say, no, I'm going to do this good thing for this man. This is the time. Versus their attitude was, but imagine the poor. It could have helped the poor out. And what Yahushua said, you're going to always have the poor with you, but you're not going to always have me with you. So she did right, because she sees that opportunity to earn a blessing, you see? So what he's saying is, you there's always going to have the poor. You're going to always have them around. There's always going to be cares that's going to need to be taken care of. That's why he said, let the dead bury the dead, and he that looketh back is not fit. Because if you're always concerned about something that you have to do, you'll never have time for the truth. That's why you have to sacrifice time for the truth, because there's always something that's going to have to be done. Always something that's going to need to be fixed or whatever. What you got to wait till your schedule is completely clear before you give time to the Lord. No, the world going to keep spinning. Things going to keep happening. And, in life in general, you realize that you can't solve everybody's problem. You might try to take it upon yourself, but then you get there really, I can't solve everybody's problem. I'm not Yahushua. And then you might try to be that guy. You might try to be that brother. You're going to try to be that over-righteous brother, or that brother that's going to try to solve it all and do all the issues. Bro, Yahushua is the one for that. And there's a body for a reason. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point of the body, where you might not be able to cover another brother well. It's a body. It's all about a unit. And Yahushua, he's the head. So we don't need to go above and beyond and try to be that dude, because it's a body. That's the whole point of the body. See? But and also think about this. Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away thy reproach. And we know that that's coming. The camp, we literally just had a council over this before camp last week. But basically, I said, and we opened discussion, like, this time is coming. These people want to start come rolling in. These women might start come rolling in. And we just basically said, be mindful that according to the scripture, they really supposed to come in with the intent to assist you and be an aid to you, not a burden. Because the natural, what women are going to do naturally when things get rough or get hard, they're going to reach out to whomever they can. And they're going to know, okay, well, I'm going to reach out to that brother, and they're going to try to do their best to shift their burdens onto you. And you can't have that within you to try to say, well, I'm going to take on everybody's burden. You got to remember, the scripture says that they're supposed to come in to be like an aid towards you. And they just looking to be under your covering. You teach them, they be your wife so that you can assist them, and then you get them guidance, etc. And, sure, if they got some trouble, you can try to help them. But you can't do that to every single woman that's about to come your way. You're going to stress yourself out. Because these women, a lot of them are just coming, like I said, to shift the burden. Times is getting rough. They resorting to their natural instinct, which is, I need somebody else to try to help me. I need somebody else to take care. You got to have the attitude to say, oh, no, see, that's not my thing. you're not about to stress me out, because then you're going to solve all these women's problems, and you can't do that. Okay. What did Yahushua just say during that time? Well, there were many widows. So what do I take from that? The Lord already knows who's worthy to be saved and who's worthy to be taken in. However he's going to make that work, however he's going to make it work. You can't be concerned about trying to solve every person's problem, every person's issue. The Lord knows who's worthy to make it. He knows who's going to be saved. That's all you can think. That's all you can say. And however he does it is however he's going to do it. He already knows, So you can't stress yourself out and say, but this, but that, but this person need help, but that person need help. Bro, the Lord is coming to wipe this whole land desolate, and he's bringing evil. He said he wants to hear these people's screams. He says it's going to be gnashing of teeth. He wants to hear their cries, and he's going to laugh at these people who mocked at the Lord. So what, you going to try to go around and help save every soul, every person that reached out to you? You ain't going to do that. Well, you can do that, but you're going to find yourself stressed out, okay? Because that's not your job, right? Your job is to follow the Spirit and follow the truth, and you have to brace yourself for what's about to happen, because what's about to happen is you're going to hear family members wail and complain and be stressed out, and what you think you're going to save everybody. You know the Lord is bringing a judgment for a reason, and if they are not of the elect, then they're not of the elect. So as the time approaches and the Lord brings more evil to this place, you better keep that in mind and be more concerned about your salvation, and pray to the Lord and say, Lord, in that day, I'm gonna need your help for guidance. Should I help this person? Do I, is this person worthy? You let me know, because then you're gonna have that strength to so much like give a cold shoulder, or just say, look, I can't help you. Just remember, Yahweh Shai, he knows all the souls who's going to make it. He knows who's going to be affected before he even issues out the judgment. And he's the Superman. So don't try to be that brother that has to try to save everybody. Okay? Shalom.